Hi, and welcome to another episode of Punk Rock Politics, here with John Smith. We got a big election today, but it's not quite as big as MSNBC and CNN are making it out to be. They're acting like if Bernie Sanders doesn't have a massive showing, that he might as well drop out. And as he said, and as he shouldn't, he wouldn't drop out. If Joe Biden won all of the delegates, he still wouldn't have enough delegates to become the nominee. So it's an absurd proposition, and they're pushing for Joe Biden so hard. Now, be aware that if you do your own research and there's consistent polls that say something, that's great, but they're using polls without explaining how many people were asked, what age groups were asked, and they use polls to be like, oh, Biden's like winning big in this state, and it's like it doesn't tell you who they asked, how they chose to ask, if it was randomly assigned. This is like something that, if you know anything about statistics, it's very important. But even if you don't, you should know, like, did they ask 20 people? Did they ask 5 people at a bar? Did they ask 100 people? That's still not necessarily representative of a place. Did they ask 1,000? Did they ask 10,000? Are there any other polls to back it up? What are who were those polls taken by, and how were they taken? Random assignment is the best, and there's a little complication with polls because there are a lot of people. It depends on the age, but definitely under 50 are big on not answering their cell phones. And nowadays, even older people aren't answering their cell phones because they're getting all these robocalls or debt collectors calling them. Which is one of the reasons we need to like Bernie Sanders, so those debt collectors stop calling you because we erase the debt. Anyway, for the working class, which is most of us, the vast majority of us. There's a great article here, and it's a great article because it's from the Daily Kos, and they're not usually very friendly with Bernie Sanders or progressives, but it's interesting because, it's not really interesting. It's interesting, but what's interesting that I want to bring up is that on the top of their page, they have like an election delegate tracker, and it says, Idaho, and it says 0% Biden, then it's Bloomberg, then it's Buttigieg. They're not in the race. So, I'll try clicking on it and seeing. It doesn't even do anything when you click on it. So, Bernie Sanders, the one of the two candidates left that's going to be on the debate stage, Tulsi Gabbard, should be on the debate stage, but they changed the rules again, just like they changed the rules to allow Bloomberg to come on, which was ridiculous, undemocratic, and unfair to all the other candidates that are in and out of the race, or just democracy in general. It was done to try and hurt Bernie Sanders, and it probably had quite that effect, on Super Tuesday. They changed the rules again to not allow Tulsi Gabbard on, saying that she needed more delegates than was originally their rule. So that's, she should be on the debate stage, but then again, we should be having a debate with the Green Party, libertarians, anarchists, like any kind of organized party that gets like a fair showing. But they use all the polls. They cherry pick, the Democratic Party cherry picks the polls. The Republican Party does this too. And they pick polls that are favorable to their message and their elite, ideals or conversations, so they can alienate people from being able to participate. And they make the rules, and they make money. They're for profit. RNC and the DNC are for profit industries. It's terrible. Anyway, so it says all the way down the line: Michigan, Missouri, Mississippi, North Dakota, and Washington. It says Biden, Bloomberg, and Buttigieg. Just so there's no way. That sounds so stupid. Yep, no, it's really like that. And there's nothing, you can click on it, and nothing happens. And it doesn't say Bernie Sanders on there, nor does it say Tulsi Gabbard. Wonder if that's on purpose. Oh, they'll tell you that it's in alphabetical order, so that's the reason. But you can decide, I guess. Seems a little insane, but anyway, here we go. An honest question of Joe Biden's cognitive health. March 5th, 2020. Wow, so this guy didn't even put his name? I thought no wonder he was, unless it's at the bottom of the article. No wonder he's talking so much smack about one of my more favorite YouTubers. Anyway, this is not a post that I want to write, but I think it's extremely important. I recently made a post about why Bloomberg is a horrible candidate, and I still think he would be totally unelectable. But in the face of possibly having Joe Biden as our nominee instead, I think this is a must-have discussion for Democrats. Recently, I commented that Joe Biden might have dementia, and my post was removed. Look, nobody likes to talk about that, and it's not something I would typically feel comfortable bringing up. But It's not concern trolling. It's genuine concern. Even though I often disagree with him policy-wise, I think Joe Biden is a pretty decent person and politician. In the VP debates in 2008 and 2012, he was incredibly quick on his feet and very intelligent. In 2016, I sincerely think he would have beat Donald Trump. Not anymore. Here's an article titled, Donald Trump's son accused Joe Biden of having dementia. Twitter claims it's POTUS. Here's the thing. Donald Trump's base doesn't care if Donald Trump has dementia. They'll vote for him no matter what, and they don't believe a word we say anyway. However, do you all remember the nonstop talk about Hillary Clinton's emails? The issue barely mattered, and yet it covered the news cycle for the entire race. Imagine having a candidate with dementia. Imagine that being the narrative. Donald Trump and the Republicans have no shame at all. Donald Trump is already out there saying Joe Biden belongs in a nursing home. Imagine a nickname like Dementia Joe. That makes crooked Hillary look like child's play. If we nominate Joe, he will lose. And he put this in all capital letters. My grandmother had dementia, and I often had to take care of her until she started hospice. I've already seen this. Joe's incoherence and confusion is not his stutter, and they're not gaffes. It's dementia. Look, even if you don't like Bernie, even if you hate his online supporters, including me, and I'm sick of hearing about that, like, it's actually the opposite of true. I'm going to cut off this for a quick second and say, I mean, the establishment people online can be, it's all supporters, first of all. It's just, these are people. But Bernie Sanders has the most contributors, the most donations, and this is to a presidential campaign in history, the most money contributed to a campaign in history, and this is all from working class people, not millionaires and billionaires. All right, he turned money back to a billionaire donor. That's how serious he is about this, and he's the only campaign in the entire process that was taking money just from the grassroots and didn't form a super PAC. So it's a pretty horrible thing. But the point is that this guy is even saying, like, he's talking about some of these, like, you know, neoliberal and mainstream media or corporate media talking points, and he's still saying, well, you're here. So he said, including me, even if you're concerned about his physical health, understandable, he seems to be in perfect health now and has a much better chance to beat Trump. He's the only other candidate with an asterisk, but they said also Tulsi, but anyway. If electability is your only concern, for the love of God, please don't vote for Joe. Vote for Bernie. You don't have to like this guy either. I imagine Kulinski would be popular on this site because he can come across as a dick sometimes. So he wouldn't be popular on this site. Let's talk about Kyle Kulinski. That's besides the point, but watch this mashup of Joe Biden. It's a 10-minute video, but the mashup starts at 1 minute and 52 seconds. Bear with me. I am going to play this video. He shared a video, and by the way, I do not think Kyle Kulinski's a dick. I think he's a passionate guy with a great channel called Secular Talk, and he's one of the people that inspired me to do this. You know, he didn't, whatever. It was kind of ridiculous. Daily Kos can be pretty... They put themselves off and call themselves progressive, and in some ways they are, but they're mostly moderate to conservative and neoliberal, and they like say all the niceties, but they just have been bashing Bernie Sanders since before 2016, definitely during the campaign, and but this is somebody who's saying, I don't like the guy, but Joe Biden's no good, so this is important, and we're going to play this. I believe I already watched this, actually, but it's important, and beautiful. It does do that. So this will be great. So this is Kyle Kulinski of The Kyle Kulinski Show, also known as Secular Talk, and you should definitely check him out. And here you go.
We have a lot of this to look forward to if it's Biden versus Trump.
Friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
Chris, my name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont? One of the things I'm proudest of is getting passed, getting moved, getting control of the Paris Climate Accord. I'm the guy that came back after meeting with Deng Xiaoping and making the case that I believe China would join if we put pressure on them. You had people like you had people like the former chairman and leader of the party in Germany. Go to Joe 303 3-0. Watch what happened when those kids from Parkland came up to see me when I was vice president. They went into and some of you covered it. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Honestly, that's really not even very funny. It's not. It's not. It's very sad. I've seen, and you're going to see him in a little bit as well, I've seen videos of Joe Biden going back to, that was a ghost, by the way. I'm just kidding. It was my foot that kicked the wire. Going back to 2016, Joe Biden is way sharper than what you just saw right there. Do yourself a favor. Go back all the way to 2012. Watch the YouTube debate between Paul Ryan and Joe Biden. And tell me he hasn't lost not just a step. Homeboy's lost like 3 or 4 steps. It honestly is sad to watch. He obliterated Sarah Palin in 2008. He obliterated Paul Ryan in 2012. He's also, by the way, a really good debater in those elections. Now compare that to everything that's gone on recently. Guys, I really take no pleasure in saying this. He has cognitive decline. He has dementia. And if the response is, yeah, but Trump has it too, is that really the kind of presidential race we want to have? A race between 2 people with dementia? And by the way, I think even if you try to make the case that Trump has it, it's nowhere near as advanced as what Joe Biden is dealing with. And again, I take no pleasure in saying this. He's not my preferred candidate, but honestly, that's irrelevant. I think the dude needs help. I do. This is very, very difficult to watch. So just so everybody understands, what happens next is there's a lot of people in corporate media who turn around and say, how dare you? You're not allowed to talk about this, specifically because Joe Biden has a stutter, or he used to have a stutter. And when you bring up anything about his speech patterns, you are therefore bullying him for his stutter. I'm not kidding you. This is an argument that people make with a straight face. To which my response is, what you just saw is not the result of a stutter. Joe Biden himself said in an interview to Axios, no, this has nothing to do with my stutter at all. Nothing. This is, me, sometimes I'm struggling to find the words. And according to his campaign staffers, it always happens later in the day. Like, he'll be okay earlier in the day, and then as the day goes on, as you get closer to late afternoon and evening time, that's when it starts going. And you could see it in the debates. Some of the debates, he starts out relatively strong, and then, I don't know what they do beforehand, maybe give him some caffeine or whatever, and then halfway through the debate, 3/4 through the debate, all of a sudden, you can't understand him. He's incoherent, and it's happened time and time and time again. So I'm telling you, don't take my word for it. Go watch a video of him from 4 years ago. Go watch the debate with Paul Ryan. That's not 4 years ago. 2016 is 4 years ago, but check 4 years ago, check 8 years ago, check 12 years ago. You're going to be amazed at how much more quick and with it he is back then, and how sharp the decline has been. So here's my question to you. You really want to put this up against Trump? Now, I get it. There's a lot of people who are part of the Democratic establishment, not the voters, the establishment, who quite literally would rather have a second term of Trump than a first term of Bernie Sanders. That exists. So I'm not talking to them because they're lost causes. They represent their lobbyists, their special interests, the donors, and the billionaires. They're representing the corporate interests. So I'm not talking to them, they're a lost cause. What I'm talking to is the voter out there who even might consider themselves a moderate, a centrist. The voters out there who are like, I'm not the biggest fan of Bernie Sanders. Okay. But is this really what you want up against Trump? To the extent that you actually believe the most important thing is to get rid of Donald Trump, as we've heard so many people say, to the extent that you actually believe that, you cannot have Joe Biden go up against Donald Trump. Trump is a giant favorite in that race for a variety of reasons. Just so everybody understands, Trump is already going at it with Joe. and he's already showed his line of attack. He has now repeatedly said Joe Biden should be in a home somewhere. He said it at multiple rallies and speeches that he's given. Joe Biden, he should be in a home somewhere. He should be in a home somewhere. He's not all there right now. Somebody said on Twitter, Trump is going to go in the debates with Joe Biden, railroad him, call him Senile Joe, and then he's going to win in a landslide. I gotta tell you guys, man, with his mind in this kind of state, there's literally a debate to be had. Would you rather have somebody who philosophically disagrees with you massively, but is all there mentally, or somebody who agrees with you more philosophically, but is having severe cognitive decline? Who would you rather pick? There's a serious question there. That's not an easy question. Because, you could argue the cognitive decline represents a more clear and present danger than any kind of disagreement philosophically, even if that disagreement philosophically will have bad consequences. Will it be worse than somebody who is in the state that Joe Biden's in? Debate that amongst yourselves. But this is really, really, really bad. Joe Biden needs help. Joe Biden is unelectable. So this is my plea to people, even who might say, I don't like Bernie Sanders. Okay, but he's all there mentally. You could disagree with him, but he's sharp as a tack. So you cannot go Joe Biden. You cannot go Joe Biden. I don't ask this often. I don't know if I ask this ever. But I'm going to ask you to spread around this segment, share it with whoever you can, and also many of the other segments that we're going to do today talking about Joe Biden, I want you to share those as well. Because people need to know. I genuinely believe that on Super Tuesday, at least 20% of the people who voted for Joe Biden haven't really heard him speak over the last year or two, more than 3 minutes. I really believe that. Because, people might not always make the right decisions, but I think that if everybody knew the full picture about what's going on with Joe Biden's mental health, there's no way he would win another election. Not possible. So there you have it. I think this is very important. I think we have to get the word out because this is dangerous. We're playing with fire. And if Joe Biden gets the Democratic nomination, look out because there's an overwhelmingly high chance that Donald Trump gets another 4 years.
All right. So again, that's Kyle Kulinski. He does secular talk. He's got a channel on YouTube. He's got a lot of great stuff. So does the Humanist Report. And so does the Rational National and the Jimmy Dore Show, just for some. It's abbreviated. The Jimmy Dore Show is TJDS. Anyway, yeah. So definitely check them out. Kyle Kulinski is exactly right. I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is why I'm trying to pump out a bunch of videos and get them out there and just hope that people are sharing them, reading them. I mean, even if it's 10 people, I don't care who it is. If I get through to one person who gets through to another person who considers what they say true about Joe Biden and changes their desire and votes for Bernie Sanders, I've done something. I'm doing all I can. This is really serious. This is no joke. I volunteered for Bernie Sanders today and called from 12 noon till 1 p.m. And if you want to do that, you can go on, it's berniesanders.com/call. I assume it's the same for text. I'm not 100%, but it's probably just berniesanders.com/text, /. But it's definitely /call. You sign up. It doesn't take long. You watch like a 9-minute video and boom, that's it. It's real simple. You could do it on, it's got to be on an Android, on either an Android or a laptop like Joe Biden over here. Sorry, I've been like waiting for videos to upload and doing research and going crazy. So yeah, laptop. You can't use, from what I understand, you can't use an iPad. So you have to have an Android phone and/or an Android tablet. I was using just the phone and that was working. If you switch back and forth from the call on speaker, and you could still read the prompt and stuff, but it was more confusing. I ended up using my tablet, the one I'm recording on now, and then using my phone for the call. It was easier that way, but you could do it with just like one device as long as it can call. As I believe you need Firefox or Chrome. I think they said you could use an Apple, like an Apple computer, but you'd have to download, I believe it was Firefox or Chrome. You can't use Safari or anything like that. So this is serious. The one man made a point about how he took care of his grandmother who had dementia. My grandmother has dementia, and it's not a fun thing to watch. It's sad, and everybody stayed away from this conversation. Julian Castro, to his credit, way back in one of the debates, pointed this out and pressed Joe Biden on it, and so did Cory Booker, also to his credit, which I don't. I have major disagreements with Cory Booker. One wonders why he would say he thinks he was on, being interviewed after that. I believe it was that very debate, or after one of the debates, saying there's serious questions about Joe Biden's cognitive ability, and now all of a sudden he's backing him. So that's very questionable. I mean, obviously, Cory Booker had ridiculous reasons why he wouldn't have let us cut, costs. And import drugs from Canada, saying they're not safe or something absurd, just a bunch of ridiculous excuses. I mean, Ted Cruz was even with it. Bernie Sanders was clearly fighting for it. Cory Booker takes a lot of money from Wall Street, and Cory Booker could have been an amazing candidate if he was a true progressive, but he's not on a number of issues. But we're not talking about Cory Booker right now. This is important. Share this information around. Get out there and vote. Look up some videos. I mean, there's so many videos of Joe Biden lying, of Joe Biden making gaffes. He was giving a speech the other night for a rally. He only spoke for 7 minutes. 7 minutes is nothing, guys. Bernie Sanders speaks for a minimum of like 35, 40 minutes at every event I've seen him in person, and he spoke for like almost 2 hours, for crying out loud. I was at Rutgers in New Brunswick on Mother's Day back in, I guess it was 2016. Was it right before maybe it was 2015. I'm trying to remember. I guess it was 2016. But anyway, there's a ton of people there, given the fact that it was Mother's Day. It was very energizing. But the guy in the article makes good points, saying, the guy's clearly, he's got his faculties. Kyle Kulinski goes on and says, hey, this guy's, got his wits about him. Now, is your issue, you want a man in the White House that you don't know if other people are going to take over the White House and do whatever they want, use different organizations within the U.S. government that have a lot of power, like the CIA or FBI, to do awful things and to take our money to do things that we never agreed to, or, commit covert operations or overthrow other governments or take drugs into the country. And these things have all happened throughout our governments. But, there's a laundry list of reasons. You could look at Joe Biden lying constantly, recently, throughout his career, but he's got a mental issue. And it's uncomfortable to talk about, but this is about the man who's going to be in the White House and run the country, be on TV and have to speak to people all over the world and make agreements. He's got control of our military. It is very disconcerting, so we need the people to show up to the polls and vote for Senator Bernie Sanders. Not only because he's the best person to vote for, not only because he's clearly the best to beat Trump. For years of statistics, look it up. Who's been the best to beat Trump for years? It's going to be Bernie Sanders. He's either tied or beating Trump he's beating him in, I think, like almost every battleground state, or he's tied. And he's been beating him for years. They say Joe Biden's the best to beat Trump. These are numbers they took after he won his first primary ever in South Carolina. And the media is on a blitz for Joe Biden, and they're bashing Bernie Sanders. And you don't have to be a genius to see what's happening here. Just for one example, Obama praised Fidel Castro many times, numerous times, you could look it up, for what the accomplishments they made in healthcare and education and having 100% literacy rate. And then for some reason, Joe Biden and others said Bernie Sanders was praising Castro, but all Joe Biden pretty much is run on is Obama, Obama, Obama. I'm with Obama, whose name he can't even remember so half the time. So yeah, he's got like no policy, but mostly this video is about his inability mentally to hold the office, or quite frankly, not to be a jerk, maybe even hold a conversation. I mean, the evidence is out there. I agree with Kyle Kulinski's assessment that a lot of people probably haven't heard him speak for more than 2 or 3 minutes. and heard something nice on MSNBC or CNN or CBS or ABC or Bloomberg or something that's propping him up. But quite frankly, he has made so many missteps. He's lied over the years. I'm going to read more articles and keep putting stuff out there. So if you like the video, hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel so you get alerts for new videos. Make sure you hit it twice and you get these little like parenthesis things around it so you get alerts for every video. Or you click on the top button and get all. If you don't click on all, you often won't get any alerts or barely any. So that'll be an issue. It's a problem for YouTube. And please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com. I'm working out some kinks, but I'm more concerned with what's going on than putting up extra content for patron members. Patreon, for patrons on patreon.com or Patreon members. So either way, share this, get the information out there. Phone bank for Bernie, send text messages. We need to elect Bernie Sanders president. All right, don't give up the fight. Take to the streets. Do everything you can. Share on social media. Talk while you're waiting in line to get a coffee or something to eat. Get out there and vote. All right, the youth needs to get out there and vote. Generation Z, millennials, I'm talking to you. All right, go on Bernie Sanders. Vote. What is it? Vote. Oh no, Bernie. voteforbernie.org, I believe. Shit, I'm sorry. I should really look that up before I end the video. I really don't want to ramble, and I wanted to end this video, but this is really important, so just bear with me really quick, because I want... What the link I'm looking up does is it tells you in every state what you need to do in that state legally to make sure you could vote for Bernie Sanders in the primary. And every state has different laws and requirements and times. So I believe it's voteforbernie.org, but I don't want to give you the wrong thing here. So this video is almost over. Voteforbernie.org. Once I verify that that's the website, I will tell you to go to it because it's a great website. I believe that is... Oh, it's taking a second to load. I don't see the map. There it is. Yep, that's it. So it's Bernie.org. So voteforbernie.org. Get out there, share the link, talk to your relatives about the 40-year record of Joe Biden saying he's going to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and other food stamps, like just all kinds of social safety net and social welfare programs. He's got a poor record on hurting, making it harder for students to claim bankruptcy when they're in massive student debt and can't get a job or can't get paid enough. Him and Barack Obama broke, quite frankly. I know Barack Obama was very popular, but Obama broke like almost every one of his campaign promises. It's just a fact. He kept us in Iraq and Afghanistan. He didn't close Guantanamo Bay. He didn't punish anybody for Wall Street. He put one 28-year-old mid-level manager, and there was like 10,000 in that company alone, in jail. That's it. He extended the Bush tax cuts. That was another campaign promise for the wealthy and very nominal for middle and lower class. They're huge tax cuts for the wealthy. He did them permanently. He extended the spy program, spying on U.S. citizens and building massive infrastructure to hold all of our data, emails, texts, phone calls, everything. Smart TV. You should cover your camera, by the way, and disable your camera and microphone because it's being everything's being recorded. Obama did not hold any of his campaign promises. He helped start the drone program and put I believe it was John Brennan. It's definitely Brennan in charge of the CIA, and he's one of the founders of the drone program. And he just did a lot of terrible things. So Joe Biden's telling you, hey, nothing is going to fundamentally change. Well, is that what you need in your life? Even if you're doing okay, if you're the boomer generation or older, or even if you're Gen X and you're doing okay. Are you really doing that great? Are you really more concerned, instead of helping the people that are suffering, that can't get a job or in massive student debt, can't afford to go to school, can't afford to finish school, so that now they're stuck in a hard place because they owe all this debt but can't get their degree, people that don't have Medicaid, all the medical debt, when Medicare for All is cheaper, and there's 22 studies that say it saves money, and even conservative think tanks found that it saves money, it saves lives. The most recent study says it'll save $450 billion a year for the U.S. taxpayer, and it will save 68,000 lives. And Biden's against that. Biden doesn't have much of a policy, and the cognitive whatever mental issues he's having. He's had multiple issues with his brain. You could look that up too, with hemorrhages and stuff. Even recently, but in the past, Joe Biden is can't be the nominee. He will lose to Donald Trump, and you will give Donald Trump 4 more years in the White House, which could end up being more than 4 more years the way he's been acting. We don't need a dictatorship. We don't want a violent revolution. So vote for the right guy. The guy best to beat Trump, the guy with the best policies, and the guy that hasn't lied in his 40 or some odd year career. Unlike Joe Biden, he's been fighting for the same things. He's been fighting for people, and he's the only one out of all these candidates that said, not me, us. I need you guys, all of us, I need you guys to take to the streets. I need you to fight, and that's how we're going to get things done. He doesn't lie. He tells the truth. So, let's get out there and make sure that we don't have another 4 years of Donald Trump. Thank you very much.